All right, now ask me a bunch of questions about being vegan. It's been good. I think, I had somebody on the Instagram DMs yesterday because CBG is that farm where I bought that box of ground beef.
Yeah.
Or steaks and whatnot. And he made a post yesterday just showing a picture of like their open sign and like their flag. And I shared it on my Instagram story and said, get local beef. And some person DM'd me and commented, and she was like, thank you for making sure that we're supporting local animal agriculture with like 10 exclamation points, and said that vegan cheese you had yesterday looked disgusting. And
everyone's got an opinion.
I think people are most surprised that have zero idea what vegans are, or like think it's this crazy ridiculous thing. When I've talked to those people about it this week, and I tell them that I haven't craved meat or dairy or anything like that, that's the most shocking, like surprising thing to them. And I said, actually, I'm doing this 7-day vegan challenge, and she like leaned over and looked at me like tell us about it. It was just.
Oh yeah, keto and vegan are complete opposites, kind of on the spectrum. There's some. I don't think it's possible to be keto and vegan. I know there's some vegetarians that are trying it, but it's very difficult. There is some,
I don't know how they do it or what they eat, but there is a small keto vegan group out there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Antoinette was saying it's really popular in Canada.
What's the hardest thing?
Honestly, nothing's been hard. I can't say nothing has been challenging.
Do you know why? Because you did prep for it. Had a plan, you went grocery shopping, you got the stuff at the grocery store, you knew where you could eat out, you planned ahead.
Yeah, that's true.
Look how planning helps.
That is true.
We went grocery shopping on Sunday, got what you needed to, and you made soup that you had in the fridge. So that was.
And I had that a day or two.
And you knew what restaurants you could go to.
Yeah.
And what you could get at those restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But, I said this, I think, in yesterday's episode. The reason why I think it was so easy, like Joel from Strong Hearts was saying, 15 years ago, being vegan and trying to find things that you could even purchase at a grocery store, let alone order off of a menu at a restaurant, there was like a few items.
Right.
Nowadays, there's hundreds. It's so much easier to be vegan today than it ever has been. So I think that played a part of it. Went to the Hop Spot and they had veggie gravy and fries and the vegan cheese and the Beyond Burger.
Was the gravy vegan though?
It was the only thing in gravy that wouldn't be vegan would be the beef broth that they would typically put in, or like bouillon or something like that, and instead it was vegetable based.
Gravy's flour and like the meat juice.
You know what, now that I'm thinking about it though, it didn't say vegan, it said veggie gravy.
Yeah.
Oh God.
You'll have to do it all over again. I think it gives a different perspective on like agriculture too. Mm-hmm. Just like farming methods. Like mass production farming, it's not good for the animals, it's not good for the environment, it's not good for us either. It changes the whole nutrient profile.
Netflix documentary, the guy was saying, you want to have ice cream, have all the ice cream you want. You want cookies, make it yourself.
Was it Michael Pollan?
Yeah, it was off that. It was the different guy, but yeah. And I think the same should be arguably true for maybe all of our food.
Yeah.
I mean...
Did you see the Magic Pill, the keto documentary?
No.
What I took away from that, besides the benefits, the Magic Pill is like, it's about keto. So,
for or against?
For. There was also a very big piece of it that discussed sustainable farming, and it just made so much sense.
Right.
It takes a little bit more effort, but it's completely feasible. And I think if we could switch to that a little bit more too, I think there'd be so much benefit to it.
Now, granted, I would imagine going out to eat is easier as it's easiest obviously as a vegetarian or pescatarian or things like that, right?
You mean on the vegetarian spectrum?
Yeah, like a vegetarian could go out to eat, no problem. as a vegan, it is definitely more challenging because you have to make sure there was no butter, eggs, milk, things like that. So, but having said that, I think it's probably easier to go out to eat nowadays as a vegan than maybe it is even as like going out to eat if you're on keto. But I've learned that if I'm trying to change the way I eat that's not based on weight loss, it's far easier. When I was doing keto, I was saying it to them this morning. When I was doing keto, if I went to a restaurant, it was like, oh no, I can't have that pasta, or no, I shouldn't eat that bread, but all right, I'll have it anyways, just one piece. Being vegan, it was like, no, I'm not going to have this because it has that, so it was a very different mindset from like feeling like, from going from a diet where it's like restrictive, I can't have that, it's so awful, to this was like, no, I'm making a decision to not have this because, and so I don't know if that's because I was doing it for something else.
Well, I mean, keto, the first week you were really good about it. It's just the longer you got with it, you're like, I'll have a little bit here.
And who knows how that would be on as vegan. I will say, going into Mom and Dad's today and seeing those chocolate chip cookies that Mom's known for making.
Yeah.
Like, my first thought was like, oh God, look at those cookies. And then my second thought was, they're not vegan. All right, so that's 7 whole days I went with following a somewhat pretty strict sort of vegan dietary lifestyle. I didn't have anything that came from an animal product for 7 days. And what did I really learn? I learned that most people that are following that vegan lifestyle, even to any extent, are pretty extreme with it. They're not doing it just for dietary reasons. Or people that I met, I should say, that are vegetarians, and they're not really necessarily doing it with any strict way of trying to protect animals or even have any kind of moral or ethical standing when it comes to trying to protect animals. They're just vegetarians because they're vegetarians. And I didn't meet anything close to everybody that is vegan in the area, but I met more than a few, and all of them had one thing in common, and that is they were very strict when it came to following vegan lifestyle for those moral and ethical reasons. Actually, they're pretty intense when it comes to reasons why they are vegan. And the other thing I learned is that people who aren't following a vegan lifestyle are pretty aggressive towards vegans and not understanding it and kind of flaunting the fact that they're eating meat in front of a vegan's face, which I thought was just kind of ridiculous. So today is day 8, and I already broke it. This morning I had 3 of family recipe chocolate chip cookies that are made with butter. And so I'm starting family vacation. I don't think I'm going to follow the vegan way of living or eating after this.